Skull Island's descent into the food chain. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking an absolutely breathtaking and, honestly, terrifying survival story. Picture this, right? A heavily armed military expedition punches through this eternal, swirling storm to reach a beautifully pristine, totally uncharted landmass. They arrive arrogant, completely untouchable, and ready to conquer. But within mere minutes, these soldiers are violently dragged from the very top of the food chain to the absolute bottom. They instantly become prey on a very mysterious island.
Helicopters were in his hands like they were made of paper. Okay, let's dive right into this. Our story kicks off with sheer, unadulterated chaos. The military just starts dropping seismic bombs all across the jungle canopy, totally oblivious to what they're actually waking up. And the retaliation? It is absolute. A colossal ape, Kong, erupts from the tree line and completely shuts their arrogant campaign down. He's swatting helicopters out of the sky like they're literally made of paper. He doesn't just attack them, he crushes them in his palms. At one point, he even opens his massive jaws and swallows a soldier whole. Modern firearms? Completely, utterly useless against him.
The rapid de-evolution, arrival and bombing. The giant awakens, and the fleet is destroyed and scattered. Now, what's really interesting here is how quickly this goes down. In just minutes, we witness a rapid, terrifying de-evolution. It starts with peak human arrogance, dropping bombs on a pristine jungle. But the moment the giant awakens to defend his home, everything completely changes. The fleet is utterly obliterated, and the survivors are instantly scattered across this deadly island. In the blink of an eye, these soldiers go from being the apex predators to desperate, terrified prey, broken into splintered groups just trying to survive the night.
The island's lethal megafauna. We've got the giant water buffalo, the bamboo-legged spider, a giant stick insect, and a giant octopus. Because if you think Kong is the only threat out there, well, the scattered survivors quickly learn otherwise. They stumble right into the island's truly bizarre megafauna. Imagine walking through a river and a giant water buffalo just rises silently from the water right beside you. Or witnessing a massive pink octopus that Kong literally wrestles and eats raw. One soldier sits on a dead log, only to realize the wood is actually a giant stick insect coming to life. Literally, everything in this ecosystem is incredibly massive, and everything is deadly. Feudal weapons versus nature's predators. Assault rifles and pistols up against bamboo legs and giant tongues. This brilliantly illustrates the sheer panic of the survivors. Imagine you go to take a drink, and suddenly a giant bamboo stalk impales the guy right next to you. Only it isn't bamboo at all. It's the massive leg of a towering spider. The soldiers open fire with modern assault rifles, but the bullets do absolutely nothing as the spider drops a sticky tongue, pulls a screaming soldier straight up into the canopy, and just shrugs off the attack. They suddenly realize their modern weapons are practically a joke here.
28. Amidst all this nightmare, a splinter group led by a man named Loki finds something unbelievable. Hidden behind a massive defensive wall lives an old bearded man who has somehow been stranded in this hellscape for 28 years since a plane crash, and he brings a chilling realization to the group. Kong isn't the monster. Kong is the king of the island, and the humans just made a terrible, terrible mistake.
Skeleton lizards, subterranean, ruthless apex predators awakened by the human bombs, the true threat to the island. So he gives them this chilling warning. Kong is actually the protector, the sole guardian keeping a far worse nightmare in check. The true threat lies beneath the earth, the skeleton lizards. These subterranean, ruthless apex predators were just woken up by the military's bombs. Those explosives didn't just anger an ape, they unleashed the true monsters of the island. The graveyard ambush. This transitions us into a sequence of unbearable suspense. The revenge-driven Black Major, who is totally obsessed with hunting down Kong for destroying his helicopters, completely ignores the bearded man's warnings. He leads his soldiers directly into a valley choked with thick fog and littered with colossal bones, literally the skeletons of Kong's own parents who were killed by the lizards. Talk about walking into a trap. It's the absolute perfect hunting ground for a subterranean predator. Surviving the boneyard. The lizard vomits a victim's skull. The machine gun defense fails, a toxic gas grenade explodes, and Captain Marvel ignites the beast.
The nightmare begins instantly as a lizard slithers right out of the fog, vomiting up a fresh human skull, complete with a missing soldier's dog tags. Panic absolutely erupts. The team desperately sets up a heavy machine gun, but the beast just smashes it apart, sending the gunner flying. Amidst the complete chaos of toxic gas exploding and mutant birds attacking from above, their only saving grace comes when the photographer, known as Captain Marvel, manages to toss a lighter into the highly flammable gas. It ignites the beast in a massive fireball, buying them just enough split-second time for a desperate escape.
The napalm trap and the alpha. First, the Major ignites the lake. Then, Kong burns and falls. Finally, the 40-meter lizard appears. Let's see how this builds, because desperate for revenge, the Black Major sets a massive, frankly foolish trap, igniting a lake with napalm. Kong charges through the inferno to defend his territory and collapses from pure exhaustion. But the victory is a total illusion. All that fire and destruction does one thing. It summons the alpha. A massive 40-meter skeleton lizard violently erupts from the depths.
A broken guardian versus the alpha predator. An exhausted, burned Kong versus a 40-meter fresh lizard. The humans are suddenly trapped between two titans. On one side, you have a broken guardian. Kong is exhausted, deeply wounded, and barely able to stand. On the other, a completely fresh, 40-meter unstoppable nightmare. The fleeing survivors are caught right in the middle of this horrific clash, completely defenseless and face-to-face with the ultimate apex predator.
The final, desperate escape. Step 1, Captain Marvel fires a flare. 2, boat machine guns distract the lizard. And 3, Kong weaponizes a chained propeller. The climax is an absolute masterclass in visceral action, requiring this frantic, synchronized teamwork between man and beast. Just as the massive lizard is about to devour the humans, Captain Marvel fires a blinding flare directly into its eye. The survivors on a makeshift boat open fire to draw its attention, buying Kong just enough time to break free from his chains. In a massive surge of adrenaline, the ape grabs a giant rusted ship propeller and embeds it deep into the lizard's back, ripping the tongue from its root. But the alpha just refuses to die. It lunges for Captain Marvel, wrapping its vile tongue around Kong's arm. In a final, desperate, and incredibly visceral move, Kong shoves his arm deep into the monster's throat and forcefully rips its insides out from the root. It's brutal, it's immediate, and it conclusively ends the fight.
The humans escaped, but how long can one king hold back an island of monsters? Kong gently sets Captain Marvel down, and the battered survivors finally make their escape from the island, leaving the king to his lonely vigil. But as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this provocative question. The humans escaped, sure, but how long can one solitary, injured king hold back an entire island of subterranean monsters? It's a terrifying testament to the scale of the ecosystem we've just witnessed. Thank you so much for joining me to break down this incredible survival story. Keep your eyes open and never, ever underestimate the top of the food chain.